The Germans began a persistent attack on May 10, 1940, which resulted in a desperate gamble over Maastricht. Though ill-prepared for daylight warfare, No. 12 Squadron dispatched 6 battle planes to attack bridges over the Albert Canal. They targeted the bridges at Sedan and Maastricht, but they were unsuccessful. Their metal wings crashed against an invisible foe, splitting them into 2 desperate trios that engaged in a frantic combat. In 1933, the British Air Ministry launched a challenge to replace the Hawker Hartlight bomber with a single-engine aircraft capable of flying 1,000 miles at 200 miles per hour, carrying a 1,000-pound bomb load, and carrying 2 people. Despite the technological challenges, Fairey, an innovative aviation firm, entered the race. Despite doubts about the Air Ministry's requirements, Fairey offered a range of options that combined ambition and pragmatism, offering a solution to the challenging technological requirements. Many designs were used by the Ministry of Defense, one of which being a special prototype created by Marcel Labella. 3 people could fit in the prototype's single cockpit. In 1935, the Aviation Ministry placed a production order for 155 aircraft, even though they were out of production. Driven by the growth of the Luftwaffe, the RAF authorized 155 orders in 1935 with the goal of achieving numerical parity. As practicality overruled choice, the Merlin III engine, which was mainly utilized in the battle, became a crucial component in the impending conflict. With the Merlin III engine, the battle rose to prominence in the geopolitical context of the mid-1930s. Launched on March 10, 1936, the Fairey Battle was a unique aircraft that could carry twice as much cargo over twice as much distance than its predecessors, the Hawker Hart and Hind bombers. It was built as an enormous fighter plane, with 2 under its wings and 4 250-pound bombs in its cargo capacity. It had low wings. At the long glasshouse cockpit, the 3-man crew of the Fairey Battle represented offensive potential. But with specs of P-2732, it also found itself bound to a bygone era. Although the prototype exceeded its basic specifications, it was not as successful as aircraft such as the Wellington, which had better performance metrics. The Fairey Battle was clearly getting old by 1939, but it continued to be fought since there were no viable modern options. The engine was initially used in RAF service on April 14, 1937, when the Rolls-Royce Merlin I, the first production aircraft, ascended to the skies. The first unit to adopt the Fairey Battle was the 63rd Unit, which joined the top group, along with 8 training squadrons, 6 groups, and 10 combat bomber squadrons. With a peak speed of 257 miles per hour, a range of 1,000 miles, and a service ceiling of 25,000 feet, the Merlin I boasted outstanding specs. It was outfitted with a rear Vickers K cannon or 303-inch machine gun and could carry bombs weighing up to 1,000 pounds. During World War II, the Royal Air Force's Fairey Battles represented a major advancement in aviation, but visibility was hampered by design problems, such as a downdraft on the rear gunner's position. The battle eventually revealed this weakness. By January 1939, the Royal Air Force had fought over 400 Fairey engagements. 10 Fairey combat squadrons moved to France on September 2, 1939, as part of a strategic maneuver prompted by German assault in the West. But since the Germans in Poland did not threaten the Western countries, there was no real war. The fights of the war involved surveillance flights above the German front line. On September 20, 1939, a turning point was reached when the first RAF kill of the war was achieved in a Fairey Battle from No. 88 Squadron down to Messerschmitt Bf 109. Still, the bomber's susceptibility to German fighters was apparent, indicating the difficulties facing the stalwart battle. Following the German invasion of Poland in September 1939, 10 squadrons of highly developed airstrike units were sent to France. The squadrons were successful. On September 27, 103 Squadron defeated Bf 109, but 4 of the 5 Fairey battles over German locations were lost as a result of the catastrophic attack on September 30, 1939. The difficulties these pilots experienced were brought to light by the crashes that claimed the remaining planes. The terrifying incidents brought to light the difficulties these pilots had throughout the conflict. Because they lacked characteristics like self-sealing fuel tanks and protected cockpits, ground assault missions during the German invasion of France and the Low Countries in 1940 were ill-suited. Between May 10 and May 15, 1940, 77 out of 118 airplanes were lost. By defending the abandoned bridges in the Netherlands, Flying Officer Donald Garland and Sergeant Thomas Gray, the first 2 RAF winners of the Victoria Cross during World War II, made a lasting legacy. Their unwavering attitude was mirrored in their posthumous accolades. A key engagement of the German Blitzkrieg was the Fairey Battle, in which infantry and anti-aircraft fire was used to expose aircraft engaged in low-level strikes against highly developed German troops. It was a tremendous cost in terms of lives and machinery. 32 German assault battles were fought on May 10, 1948, of which 13 were lost. Also, 7 of the 8 dispatch confrontations ended in failure. On May 12, 5 battles targeted important bridges over the Albert Canal. None of the fighters returned and the toll climbed. In the 1940s, the RAF suffered heavy losses, which forced them to give up on low-level raids and adopt new strategies. 35 aircraft were lost as a consequence of Bf 109 intercepting 63 fights on May 14th. On June 15, 1940, the remaining squadrons were evacuated to Britain, demonstrating their inability in the face of fighter resistance and low-level operations. On June 15th, the last sortie of the surviving battle squadrons signaled the end of their frontline duty. 137 battles were lost between the 10th of May and the 20th of June 1940, a sign of the RAF's declining star power. The top group regrouped upon their return to Britain, but the majority of battle squadrons switched from daytime assaults against German invasion barges in French and Dutch ports to nighttime attacks. A crucial phase of the Fight of Britain, which took place between July 10 and October 31, 1940, was the Fairey Battle. Bomber Command was reconstituted into 6 squadrons, including the newly created Polar Squadrons. They demonstrated their aircraft's operational debut on July 21st by hitting oil storage tanks in Rotterdam, Netherlands, and played a crucial part in the war. There were 289 sorties in the Fairey Battle, and the last admittance took place on October 15, 1940. Just 6 aircraft were lost in France during the Battle of Boulogne and Calais during World War II. The Fairey battles were no longer used as bombers by UK base units. Instead, battle squadrons were re-equipped with Vickers Wellingtons. Although powered by several Rolls-Royce Merlin iterations, the battle featured unique variations that were fundamentally the same aircraft. After September 1940, the battle left active service and found new meaning in training exercises conducted in Canada and Britain. The Fairey Battle was a small bomber, trainer, and target tug operated by the British. Duncan Menzies demonstrated it in 1937 to the Belgian Air Ministry, which resulted in their purchase and use in May 1940 during the German invasion. By September 2, 1940, 2,200 Fairey battles had been assembled, of which 1,155 were produced by major producers. The Austin automobile firm manufactured 1029 units, and by the end of 1939, Hayes had created one single specimen. Though it was produced, the Fairey Battle, unlike the German Stuka, was subject to the harsh realities of war, existing only in areas where local air power prevailed. Its legacy in aviation history was defined by terrible casualties, since the battle was ill-suited for the dangerous tasks it was called upon to execute.